Well, hey there, and thanks for tuning in to our very first episode. My name is Ashayla Webster, and if you caught episode 0, you would have heard that I come from a Navy family. Now, when you live in WA and you're in the Navy, it really only means one thing. You probably live in Rockingham. So today I'm heading down to my old stomping grounds to speak with the Hale family. Now, the Hale family have 5 generations. That's it. 5 generations of serving military. So let's hear their amazing story. Sit back, guys. It's time to prep your standard NATO. Thanks so much for agreeing to do this, guys. It means a lot. You will actually be episode number 1. Hitting off, starting the bat somewhere nice. So if you'd like to just introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Michelle Hale. I'm 43 years old. Live in Port Kennedy. Did 7 years at Navy time. I was the second last apprentice intake through HMAS Naroomba. Did an electronic technician apprenticeship. And got out 7 years later. Stayed in the area.
Yeah, it's a nice area.
Yeah.
Allen Hale. I did 20 years and 3 days in the Army. Most of the first 6 years overseas. I was in infantry for a bit over 6 years, then transferred to Ramey and did a adult trade course, and that was the rest of my life. And after I finished with the Army as a tradesman, I carried that on in a lot of civilian jobs that I did.
You guys have a really long family history of military service, don't you?
5 generations.
5 generations, that's pretty insane. And they're not all, obviously, you've got Navy and you've got Army. What other?
All 3.
All 3?
Yeah.
All 3.
The oldest one in the group is my grandfather on my mother's side. He virtually ran away from home at 17 or something around there. Joined the British Army in India, became a sergeant in India, left there, must have been 1912, I think, long enough to work as a, what do you call it? Oh, what's that place where Bill goes every year?
Not the surf club, but the radio.
No, down near north of Pinjarra.
Fairbridge.
Fairbridge.
Yeah.
He became a house father or something like that, and his soon-to-be wife, she was a house mother there, and they got married there, and then 1914 happened, and
he joined the Imperial.
He got wounded before he even got ashore at Gallipoli.
He got shot in the leg.
Shot in the leg or the hip or something.
Getting off the boat at Gallipoli.
A leg about that much, one leg about that much shorter, so that, the big foot, the extra boot.
So there's some jokes about that.
Yeah, he became quite famous. I don't know if you've heard of, or first he was president of the Swanboard Netherlands Roads Board. Then he was a very, very driven sort of person. He started the Swanboard Surf Club.
Oh wow!
Along with some other people, but they were the big force behind it. Then Allen Park in Swanbourne is his surname. He's John Allen.
Yep.
Or Jack Allen. He lived just up the street from the park. Michelle was saying that she had a story, because my mother was brought up in the Swanbourne area as well, and there's some information that's gone missing.
There is where Nan had been interviewed.
And
we're trying to find that information, because it would have gone into a lot of those details. Nan's obviously since passed. But no one can seem to find them.
only one, her youngest sister, and she's getting old now, but she's the only one left in the family. And there's others like sons, daughters, nephews, lots of stuff. There's not a lot of info now about him. When he enlisted in Fremantle, he went straight in as a sergeant in an infantry unit over there. So his military life in Australia was quite, cut short. So
he came back, got married, father some babies, and they joined as well.
So, his daughter.
No, I think he was married before he went to Gallipoli. Yeah. So he was married in that period between 1912 and 1914. Yeah. There might be something about what day that actually happened, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But then, one of his children, Beatrice Mary.
That's my mum.
Yeah, she joined the Air Force in time for World War II. And we're trying to find out exactly. We believe she did training in South Australia.
Yeah.
She was based at Cunderdin.
Yeah, because a lot of the ladies then who joined the Air Force and some other forces, they became aircraft mechanics. So they were all.
So she was a Tiger Moth mechanic.
Yeah, Tiger Moth.
Wow. That's pretty revolutionary.
Well, that would have been a train. It wasn't an aircraft that was in action in those days in the Second World War. And looking at some paper here, it looks like she was in it for quite a while. A lot longer than him. A lot longer than Dad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well, because then Dad's dad, he was in the Navy. So Second World War, he was a gunner on corvettes.
Well, so actually, he was on a big range of ships. I think he was even in.
Was he on Vendetta or something? I think.
I don't know, but I think he was in Tokyo Bay when they had the signing.
Yeah.
So his ship was, he was on a ship. They didn't go ashore or anything, but it was all, it was the Americans and Australians and whoever else, sort of there when they signed the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So they would have met after.
I think so, yeah. When she got out of the Air Force, she became a nurse.
So then obviously they got married, had small babies, and then you guys joined up.
I joined up as a regular, but I'd been working for three years up in the bush, and I don't know why, but I just decided one day that I turned 18, so I was allowed to join up myself without having yay or nay from parents, and I don't think my mum was very happy about that. My father told me I should have joined the Navy.
Oh, well, they all say that, don't they?
After 20 years in the Army and working a lot with the Air Force and the Navy, I think I was better off in the Army, but would have been even better off in the Air Force, because they really looked after those people. Whenever we had joining, things where we're with the Air Force, and that they seem to be a lot better organised and better. I'll give you an example. I spent some time in Malaysia, and they used to send us up to Butterworth, what was run by the RAF, the Air Force base there, and we got fresh milk, fresh meat, fresh vegetables, all flown in from Australia about every second day, or sometimes might have been every day, on a herc out of Perth to Cocos Island and to Penang. Yeah. Whereas we were eating ration packs and
open that to you.
They were always, and when you ate in their mess room and that, the food we were getting was much better, and most people would have said, well, I'm not going back to the
sign me up, I'm changing forces.
And also well, you might have heard in the news, the Navy, even now, are still having a lot of trouble with people misbehaving themselves overseas.
Yeah, as the daughter of two sailors, I can attest that they get up to some nonsense.
There's a place I was based in Singapore for 2.5 years, and occasionally we used to come across the Navy people. They come ashore, and then they go out on the town, and they always misbehave themselves.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought I don't think we were having the same problems with them as the Navy, because I think it was dry ships. I think, were they back then?
I'm not sure.
No.
For as long as I've been in, they've been wet ships.
Yeah, I think it might have been Sometimes, because I travelled on the HMAS Sydney when it was a troop ship going to Vietnam and coming back, and I think it was like every now and then they'd give you one can of beer, and that was it. But some smarties they'd
stock them up,
stock them up, or they someone who didn't want to drink beer, they'd end up with their cans and
give you a cigarette for your beer.
Was it at least decent beer, or did they give you like Foster's or something?
Well, it would have been all Australian type beers, but not nothing flash. There was no.
Or no Coronas back then,
None of that Matzo's craft beer or anything, And then we get to the next generation, and you joined up as well.
So just after you did your 20, and then I joined up and shoved off over to Sydney. As a 16-year-old, so I was probably the youngest, I think, out of all of them to join. Went over, did 2 years at Naroomba. Based at Cuttable for a bit longer, fell pregnant, got posted back over to Stirling here. And I was here for a few more years, based out of the Comsen. And then, I ended up getting out. Haven't worked in my trade at all. It's getting out. Done my admin and that, and now I'm a dog groomer. And then, so my second born child, she then joined a couple of months ago now. So
as a gap year thing.
She's doing a gap year, so she can, if she enjoys it,
she
can continue on. But no, so far she's didn't like the first 4 weeks.
Oh well, basic training,
Well, I saw some statements you made about they're being too bossy or something like that.
She didn't like being told what to do.
That's what dear.
How recruits supposed to behave.
Well, it's probably a good thing she didn't join the army then.
Oh, she originally wanted to join the army.
Army's a lot tougher.
I said to her, I don't think you could handle the army.
That depends on the corps.
Well, she did get accepted into the army as well. She got accepted into infantry, and I said, "There's no way you can." I said, "You better take the navy."
Well, at least she had her options.
They
still don't put girls on the front lawn, though.
No, but they did have her down as riflemen, so I don't know how that.
Sit in the back and pop them off.
I think she's better in the Navy.
Yeah, fair enough. So, what motivated you guys to join the military? Was it like a family thing, or was it just?
No, it was just I don't know. I was working up the bush for nearly 3 years, from the time I was turning 15 to turning 18, and I was trying to learn wool classing and shearing teams, travelling around up central north part of West Australia. And I don't know why, just because I was on good pay, only as a board boy, we pick up the fleeces and throw it out on the table and that stuff, and then you advance a bit, learn a bit about the wool and all that stuff. But it just seemed like going nowhere to me, so I don't know, must have a crazy session or something. Went and signed up, and there it was.
One of those momentary lapse of judgments.
I wanted to join either Raimi or Engineers, and at that time was like full on national service. And they said, the recruiters, what they do, they tell And then I ended up in an infantry platoon. Where I was the reg, because nearly everyone else, including some of our corporals, our platoon commander, were all national servicemen. So, I was in Malaysia, and I was the reg in their platoon. I think it was the platoon sergeant. He was a reg. Just about everyone else were not. And, I just, because those people, they only did 2 years, and then they chuffed off back home. And, they didn't do 2 years overseas. Most of them were only just over a year or something, because you have training and all these different things, and then you're only in for 2 years as a masho. Then you went off to somewhere. The regs who were signed up for 6 years, which I was one. We went to Malaysia instead of straight to Vietnam. The 3-year people who signed up, they went straight to Vietnam, infantry people.
Okay.
But they put us in infantry, and a lot of the national servicemen, they're very highly qualified, people with degrees and things like that, or part way through a degree and things like that, but called up for national service. And what they did, I think they lifted the knowledge standard, or the IQ even, of the whole infantry, because all these people with very high qualifications, who were just working as infantry soldiers, privates. I was a private for 6 years until I joined Ramey. Then used to cop a lot of rubbish off the apprentice tradespeople, because they did 4 years, or some of them 5 years, and then a lot of them go up the steps, and then so I went infantry, and because I was older and I had decorations and stuff like that, and the commander, the bloke in charge of the unit where I was, he said, "Oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that. You've been 6 years in infantry." I wasn't the only one. There were other people who transferred to infantry as well, and I transferred to Ramey as well. And if you were any good at anything, you jump up the steps. And I ended up as a staff sergeant, but qualified to be a warrant officer, but I was never going to get there because there's the pyramid.
You had to wait for someone to drop off.
Got you in my sights, buddy.
Sergeants and some staff sergeant, people like that. They're all hoping that there's a major bus accident full of
warrant officers,
or something like that. Well, it's
you've
pretty
been promoted.
cool.
Congratulations.
Let's wipe the blood off his left leg.
But that's any business, I suppose. People who, with that pyramid shape, they end up, getting blocked somewhere.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and probably worse with women too, for them, because that thing for many years, that a woman was only allowed to get to a certain level,
Yeah. Well, I know even with the Navy and that, is that you weren't allowed to be, or not long before I joined, was that you weren't allowed to be married, and then if you got married and then fell pregnant, you'd
kick you out.
Yeah, like that was not that long ago that it sort of changed.
Yeah, it's hard to remind people sometimes. Like, I know my mum, she was one of the first to train with the men. Yeah. Before that, they were separate services.
Yeah, Rams.
Yeah, it's coming along.
There's a thing coming up, an email about a big RAN get together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know about it?
Yeah. In WA.
It's a couple of years away, isn't it?
Oh, the 2020.
The 2020. Yeah.
Because I am a RAM. So I'm on the thingy for it.
Yeah, talking about organised ladies, they were like, we want to get this, start promoting this now.
They just had the 2018 one over east,
yeah.
And they went, okay. I think they were organising the 2020 before the 2018.
Yeah, they're very organised. They came last year to
Well, we had, I think just after I had Connor, we had one over at Stirling. Really good put together. But no. I think I joined because I wasn't doing very well at school. and Dad said, get a trade.
You're like, all right then.
But I don't know, ever since I was little, I don't know if it was, the movies, Officer and Gentleman and all that sort of stuff, all the guys in uniform and all that, and you think, and because Granddad was in the Navy, he was like, go and see the world, and, let's join the Navy. So, I think that's what sort of got me into joining up. I was just lucky that I did well for the selection process, and especially being a female, because they didn't allow many females in to get a trade. So I managed to get in there. And
well, I understand my dad was very pushy with you too about getting into the Navy rather than anything else.
Well, he would be like that. Like when I said, "Oh, yeah, I'd like to join the Navy." Yeah, Navy, and then Nan's in the other ear, Air Force.
I guess there was some family pressures.
Yeah. But no, I mean, when I was younger, Because when Dad used to do his training and all that, I used to ride my push bike while he'd run around with his pack and that on. And I used to think, oh yeah, could join the army. Yeah, that'd probably be all right. And school holidays, I used to go onto the base with Dad and that. And I remember I wanted to be an army typist. Because I like the girls, sitting there on the typewriter and all that. But then green wasn't my colour. Because back then the office girls wore like that minty green dress.
Oh yeah, that was before they amalgamated the women and
when they were still the separate services.
And I thought, no, I can't do that colour.
Was it rack?
Yeah, rack. Yeah. I think they've still got one of these uniforms on display at the Army Museum in Freo.
The mint green.
I was just, no, I can't do green. Blues.
Fair enough. What about, floats your boat there? So how would you describe growing up and living in a military family? Do you think it's much different to anyone else, or?
I think it can be. Cause
sometimes, they used to post people regularly, I don't know why they did that, but I went from, especially when I left infantry. After I left 8 Row, as soon as we came back from Vietnam, I went straight to 6 Row in Townsville, and we went from there to over to Malaysia, Singapore, and you're with the unit, so you weren't moving around all the time, you were just, you were moving with the unit. But when I went to Rainey, I did about a year of training at Bandiana in Victoria. Then I spent some time there in a workshop near Bandiana, and then it seemed to be like after that was like 2 years new posting. Sometimes on promotion, other times I don't know why they were doing it.
It just felt like moving people around.
Well, they seemed to, and they would never post me back to Western Australia. It was like Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland.
Back to Victoria.
Like that, And going to Victoria the last time sealed it for me. I said, I don't want to be in Victoria.
Fair enough.
He left Mum and I up in Queensland because
they own their own house.
And he goes, I'm not having you guys live in Broadmeadows. So he said, no, you guys stay up there.
Yeah.
And then took his discharge to Perth.
Once I was within 6 months of the 20 years, I just filled out the paperwork, and the Lieutenant Colonel who was in charge of us, of the workshop where I was, he was good mates with the Major who ran the one in Perth, and he said, I don't know what you're doing here. Head to Perth. So went home, sold the house, and packed our stuff, and drove back to Perth. And I was probably about 6 months at the what they call it, Perth Workshop Company, I think it was. And then I was in charge of the engineering part of the workshop. They said, "Oh, infantry bloke." Oh, because in the army every year at least, but sometimes more often, maybe 6 months or something like that, every soldier, don't matter who you are, have to do infantry training. So you're a soldier first. You could be a doctor, a dentist, a truck driver, anyone. You have to do a certain amount of infantry training.
Fair enough.
And so they had me running an exercise up at up the bloody hills here. People getting covered in ticks and bloody. With that, up in the hills, the SAS have got a bloody.
That spot up there. I've been out there a few times.
So anyway, so I was glad to get out. No, sometimes I think 1977 I'd been. We drove over to Perth, and just for Christmas, Christmas leave, and went up north to where my brothers-in-law are all working on the iron ore, and they're making money hand over fist, and really Parabadoo and Tom Price living in that area, another one living in Goldsworthy and stuff like that, and I couldn't believe how much money they were getting, and I was seriously thinking about getting out right there and then, because I could have gone a job there easily, but I didn't. I was just like, another bloody, I don't know, 6 years or 12 years or so, I can't remember anyway. I might as well stay, but anyway, I'm sorry I did. But being in Ramey, a lot of the time is more like just a normal job. It's not so, army. But you're there to fix things, make things, keep things running, that sort of stuff. And even though you might be out the bush and stuff like that, it wasn't so regimented like infantry and some of the other corps, But every now and then they always run this bloody thing where you have to do a certain amount of infantry training. Anyway, so, and anyone like me who had done for quite a bit of time overseas and had some ribbons and that, they you can do that. You can take them for all sorts of things, like gymnasium stuff, just running around the block with all your stuff on, those sort of things. They always pick people like me to do that, because the people, like the Ramey people, most of them were they were fully straight into trade stuff, not So, well, I worked with a lieutenant one time, and he was so green. I couldn't believe it. Like how he, the stuff he didn't know, about a lot of things. So they're always coming and picking your brains,
Yeah.
And I thought, buddy, what
not following you into all, buddy.
I'm not getting paid to make these decisions. That's your job. Anyway, we spent a fair bit of time in Shoalwater Bay. When I was in Ramey, but I was with an army engineer unit. They're making all the roads and airfields and the bunkers and all that stuff for the big exercises. Anyway, we were looking after their plant equipment, keep this going and that going. Anyway, we got sent to one of the big airstrip that had been made, and saw these tents, like those. What do they call them? 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 tents. Nice, neat row, all down the side of one airstrip. And I went, what the hell? What's this? Putting those on the edge of the airstrip. They're the married they're the married quarters. Because in the RAF, they had a lot of men and women married, and they go on the exercise as well. So the married couples were in those things. I there was such thing,
I was going to say Army and Navy would have been you weren't issued with.
But I thought where they had them living wasn't the most. It was right on the side. It was Hercules, and it was all a dirt airstrip.
So they couldn't get romantic with noise.
You couldn't hear anything.
And fighter planes and everything coming in and landing on it and going and taking off. All the way other day at night.
It was planned by the men so they didn't have to listen to their wives.
Probably. What did you say?
Extra strong tent pegs in that one, thank you.
It was far enough to not know that, but it would have been so noisy, Hercules, landing, and
you wouldn't want it missing the
airstrip. At that time, there would have been Singapore Army, Malaysian Army, a lot of Americans, so all, so there's a lot of stuff going on in that one little area,
Married tents. Oh, that's gold. I've never heard that one. Oh, jeez. What are the big issues that military families face, do you think?
Well, being posted regularly, for many years, the accommodation that they gave you, especially Albury Wodonga, remember that house we stayed in?
I was only little. I left there when we were...
Swan Street, wasn't it? Swan Street.
I think that's the street I was born in. So
yeah, it was bloody terrible, it was this bare floor, a house on stumps, and in winter, the bloody cold used to come up through the bloody floor. No matter how good a heater you had in there, you couldn't fight it, and Albury Wodonga, very, very cold. You from the parade ground where the unit were at Bandiana, if you look south, you could see Hotham and places, you're looking across, there's the playground slope like that, in the highest part of the slope, you could, on a clear day, you could see Hotham and Mount Buffalo and stuff like that, and like so you were pretty close to the coal.
So at least you got a view.
Only my camera wasn't good enough to take a photo.
I think the big thing is like with the moving and all that, especially children changing schools and all that, and the whole new friends and like for me, I found it hard because being an only child as well, it was like not having anyone travelling with me.
Yeah, you didn't have that backup.
No, at least if I had siblings or something, you'd have each other to bounce off. So that was a big thing with my kids. I said once I had kids and they started school, I would stay put in the one spot.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was very hard for kids as well to be in a, say, Victorian high school or a Victorian school, and then after 2 years or maybe even less than that, they go to New South Wales or Queensland school, and the completely different education system.
We went from New South Wales. I had 1 week in Year 1 in New South Wales and went to Year 2 in Queensland. So it was just like, okay. And then went from high school in Queensland, come over to WA, and what I was studying in Queensland, I wasn't allowed to study over here because I would have been too advanced from Queensland. So because I was studying French was one of the subjects, and said no, we can't allow you to take it up over here because you'd be too advanced. You'd be sitting there bored. And so I totally missed that. So kind of went backwards a little bit coming back over here, but schooling things are big.
But some of the might have been Anamika or someone said that she's a school teacher. She's one of my younger brother's partner. Been for years, but anyway, I think her and maybe some others said that the system in Western Australia was actually better than a lot of the eastern state ones. I can't remember in what way it was supposed to be better, but also some place we were posted in the eastern states. I think someone told us that they thought, from what they'd learned, that West Australia had quite a good system compared to some of the others over there. Probably having a very good idea, not the information given out by the recruiters, but having a good idea of where you're headed in your job in the Army, Navy or Air Force. You hear too often about people who join thinking it's all this or that, and it's not, a fellow I know, he's a major. He's out now, but he was a major in the Army infantry, and a few years ago we were on a bike ride. He was here in Western Australia, and he went on a bike ride with us, and we're talking about how infantry people go now compared to what I had. And there are other people on the ride who are in my vintage as well. That now a lot of people don't stay there, don't stick with it. I did 20 years, and I only for that one where I said about went up to the iron ore area and was very jealous of what they were doing and what they were getting and all that sort of stuff. But I just stuck with it anyway. And from what I understand, most of the people who decided to stay in there for the 20 years, because that's you got a certain level of your pension before when you left, but you had to do 20 years to do that. But a lot of people now, they don't have that thing, so they can pull the pin at any time, and I believe there's quite a bit of that goes on. It's quite different to what I was in, and I don't recall too many people in recruit training, in corps training, and then anything else we did. I don't recall too many people suddenly deciding they didn't want to be there. Most of the people, even the national servicemen who there for in the jobs I was doing, like infantry, most of the people who were just about everyone. I mean, I can't think of people who were working with me who decided that was it. They didn't want to be out. They didn't want to be there to get out. And I seem to hear that quite a lot now, that people do pull the pin very easily, you know.
It's like they give up too easily.
Yeah.
So
they don't
there's
try
no,
and push themselves.
there's no, I don't know if they're not indoctrinated properly or something, you know, and got into that sort of thing. We had, our training, especially in infantry training, was very tough, you know. But I don't recall people saying, I don't want to be anymore. People crying about it or anything like that.
I think a lot of it's the way that kids are being brought up
Maybe,
these days.
Yeah.
You know, kids don't enjoy something. Oh, it's alright, you don't have to
Yeah.
do it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've always brought my kids up that, especially like I've got 4 kids, so my 3 oldest all play hockey, and we've been part of the same hockey club for 13 years.
Yeah.
But I've always said to my kids, each season, okay, you start this season off, you will finish the season.
Yep.
You don't let your team down. Like, it's not just you; it's a whole group of you. And so I've done that, and each year, like, my girls are like, oh, I don't know if I'll do it next season or whatever. They get to the end of the season, no, I'm doing it next season. So I think a big thing is how they've been brought up. Whereas if, you know, they turn around, I don't want to do it anymore. Oh, okay, what else would you like to do? It's like, no, you've signed up for it, that's it, you're doing it.
Yep.
So I think that's a big thing, is how, you know, how you bring them up.
Well, it sounds a lot like my childhood. That was, you know, if you follow it through and you look after your mates and that kind of thing. But then again, maybe that's the military mindset, and that's the military growing up, and maybe it's different.
I mean, I said to my daughter, who, like, we go over for her pass out in a few weeks, I said to her, you go over, I said, you're not welcome to come home. I said, you go over, you do your time, and because there's been a couple in her intake that are, oh no, it's too hard, or, you know. And I've said to her, how are you going? She goes, oh, I've been tempted, but no, I'm... And I said, good on you, like, yeah. I said, you'll be proud of yourself at the end of it. But yeah, I think some people are just too soft.
Exactly what it is.
They're not allowed to swear at them and things like that now.
Really?
I don't know, you know, well, from what I've heard, you know, like, because I can recall, you know, people saying some terrible things to me, you know, and one fella, a sergeant, we're on a gun picket out in the bush at night, and he must have been walking around, and he had a fully loaded M60 machine gun, and I was laying there like, and he must have seen me, and he straddled me, and he's standing over me, and he's firing the M60 into the ground just in front of me like that.
That woke you up.
Just telling you. You remember for the rest of your life.
That sort of stuff in him.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I'm sure there's some OHNS about that.
Heard a lot of things, you know, like some of the training I've done, you know, where you had to work, you know, 24 hours a day, and then there was a training exercise we had to, for some thing we were doing, and they send you off doing this bloody stuff, and then partway through they say, oh, you can go to bed now, you know, and they purposely send you to bed for about half an hour, an hour, and up and get like that, and they're doing that regularly, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's a torture technique.
Well, I understand now why, but before we were allowed to start doing all this training, they had us sit down individually in front of, I think there was 5 site officers, or officers or civilians, and they fire all these questions at you. And what they were doing was they tried to talk you out of doing what you wanted to do. And one bloke I know out of the whole group that were in, like there was I think it was about 6 or 7 of us in the group. One fella, he got in there, and he was a good soldier and everything. He was a this was when he was a tradesman already. Anyway, and he went into the interview and they kept firing these questions at him. You don't really want to be doing this and that. He said, look, stick it up your arse, I'm out of there, and all of that. And then bang, he was gone like that, And he was the only one who did it. But I was quite surprised that he did it because he was like a good soldier. He was from Norseman, and his family worked in the mines and all that sort of stuff. He was fit. He was, he was a good sportsman and all that stuff. He just sat down and they were trying to break him down, and it worked. But we had a few things, those sort of things, they tried to break you, I just muddled through somehow.
Got there in the end.
We've been fairly lucky in that we haven't had the deaths in, I've been, especially in infantry, we're in Vietnam and that, and other soldiers died or were seriously injured and things like that. And I was sort of on the edge of it, but I didn't, I saw what was going on and all that stuff, but I didn't lose in myself. And as far as I know, no one in our family has. It's only my grandfather who got injured. My father didn't. My grandfather did. The Gallipoli. And I don't think we've had very much that way. We're either extremely lucky, or we've kept our heads down. Except
a bit of both.
So that way we've probably been very lucky, because I know people now, got all these problems about this and that,
health issues from different things. And
PTSD.
He has PTSD,
but I didn't even apply for that. I got
you
sent.
got old.
You have issues, mate. Just tell you.
I got sent to a thing up in Perth, and went in to talk to this bloody psych, and they kept me waiting for bloody ages. So I'm paying parking out there, and you held me up for there was a set time when I was going to have this meeting, and it was like an hour or something later, and I said I had to go and feed the bloody parking meter a couple 100 metres away before I did, and I went off at him, and straight away PDS.
Fire those.
Well,
if it goes for 100 questions.
I never thought that was enough for me to.
That's
enough. They did.
Yeah.
So I'll go and see this bloke. You take these tablets.
God, most people would be pissed off if they're waiting for an hour.
We're both have PTSD.
That's the case. I got a feeling it was all staged.
You purposely did it
just to see how you react. But he didn't say that.
Yeah.
But the next thing, I was out of the army already by then, but I was working on the big cranes and that down the wharf and the pilot boats and the other tugs and things. And anyway, a couple of times there was some bloody, bullshit going on, and I cracked down on some junior person about what they'd done or whatever. And then I went to a I'm getting mixed up now. No, that's right. It was before I went to the wharf. What was it? I can't remember. I'm all confused.
You went from the army to Port Authority.
No, I got sent to an interview with some bloke. Apparently, he was the top civilian at Lewin Barracks, and anyway, he sent me off. He was the one who sent me off to the bloody psych, and he was great. He did all this bloody paperwork for me, and I was not. I was, no way was I thinking about PTSD or any of those things. But he had all paperwork done for me that, and was it 15th of December some years ago. Next thing is bloody thing saying you've been diagnosed with PTSD and bloody hearing and some sight and a few other things, and but there it was, buddy, a whole, for the rest of my life, PTSD. It wasn't like one of those ones. Some of them they give gold cards out and it's only temporary or something, but mine was the full thing.
Yeah.
Good.
For all, and I thought,
Take it.
that's where I was working.
Yeah,
That's
torpedo facilities.
That's what I was working on Garden Island.
Yeah.
We were pulling the torpedo exercise torpedoes that gone out. We were pulling them apart and reconditioning them. Sometimes we make an explosives one, and other ones. So I think every fourth one is made into explosive one, or one that's done four trips in the ocean. Then it becomes a live fire. Ammunition one, and the others have got just full of electronics and that. Anyway, that's right. That's where it was. Yeah, so I was.
Because that was your last job.
Yeah, my last job. That's right. Yeah, so I was only there 3 years. When I finished my job up in the mining area, I thought, I'd had enough of working up the bloody mine. It was like being in prison, you get 12 hour days, 14 days a week.
Nice money, but the rest of it.
So anyway, I just applied for a job and got that job on the island, doing that stuff, and then I chucked the wobbly in the fuel room because a couple of us were allocated to working in the fuel room all the time. I don't know if you heard of auto fuel. Yeah. Well, that it's quite dangerous, and you have to gloves and masks and all that stuff. Yeah. And we're like that all the time, And some yellow come into the bloody room and started carrying on, and I paid him those barrels and bloody told him to get out of there, but he wasn't even dressed up for the thing, and next thing, that's right, next thing I got sent off to.
You got retired.
Well, I was going to anyway. I wasn't going to stay there. I thought I'd get a job there, and because they had all the new torpedoes, the ones the top of the Americans. List of ones that because we were always on the very low thing with the different marks of the torpedo. Yeah. And then about a year and a half before I pulled the pin, the Americans were coming in and they were introducing the new torpedo, the latest one. Even the one that they were even giving us ones that they had only just got. They weren't new with them. They were all new with them as well. And they were, a lot of them were in the facility with us and going through all the different things, all the whole system. It's all out of a book. You have to read out of the way. You tick 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 tick, and they have these things where the experts come around and they see what you're doing and they can kick you out at the drop of a hat. If they don't like what how you've done something.
True.
Anyway, so. Doing that, and I thought, after you've done these things a dozen times, it's not new anymore. Yeah. So you're not learning anything new, And I thought, I don't be doing this, Also, the pay we were getting, it was only like 7.5, 8 hour days. But it was really piss poor pay. I was getting quite a lot more when I was working up the mining area, and. I thought, I don't really need this. But the other thing too, they wanted us to do overtime, and then they say, well, come in on the Saturday and even the Sunday, when they had, say, a few torpedoes had been fired off and we had to pull them down within a certain time because of corrosion and all that. They've got to get it all. Anyway, so you come in on a Saturday and say, you're going to be here all day and maybe even tomorrow. And then partway through the day, something changed, and so we don't need you anymore, right? And so
you go for the whole weekend.
Yeah, the whole weekend's gone. So, and next after that, I think about a year into my job there, I didn't put up with that anymore. I just said, I'll come in on the working days, but you can look out, you can find out what to do with the bloody. Overtime, I'm not interested in it, so the overtime was nothing anyway. I didn't stick to their rules. They weren't that happy about that either.
Yeah, so rebel without a cause, you're like, screw this, so they were just trying to get rid of you.
Well, I was pretty sure it was me who pulled the pin, you know, but they were probably hoping I would. Not to worry.
And so, Michelle, what have you done since leaving?
Well, I went, as soon as I left the Navy, I went and worked at the Commonwealth Bank as a bank teller. I actually took leave without pay from the Navy because I was trying to get out, but they weren't allowing me to get out. So I started working at the bank, and then my discharge actually got knocked back, and I got a signal going, "Nate, you've got to show back up to work." So I went back to the island, and but stressed myself out that much. I gave myself tonsillitis. So yeah, in that time while I was off, my discharge finally come through. Went back to the bank, but I was only there for about 4 months. I was a victim of an arm hold up.
Oh shit!
So, yeah, I was just like, "It's not a good move."
Yeah.
So
Jeez.
then went to admin, did admin work for quite a while, like bookkeeping and all that sort of stuff, payroll, accounts, and then 9 years ago, bought a dog grooming business. Been doing that ever since. So
That's
something totally different.
Yeah, completely different, and I'm raising 4 kids.
Yes.
Do you have like a proudest moment from your service, or something that you were really pleased that you did, or?
Well, part of that training I was saying before about where they put us through a real hard time was to go to Antarctica.
Oh wow!
So I went down from Melbourne on a small Nilla Dan, a small ship that the scientific people used to borrow from Denmark. Anyway, I only went to Macquarie Island because me and another fellow, we were married, and we went down on that one to Macquarie Island, but just for the summer to unload stuff that had to go ashore there, bring the old people who'd been there for a year or whatever back because the ships were out to sea, and we were going on these larks, so 35-foot long aluminium boats with wheels.
Yep.
So I go in there. Actually, I've got photos of them in here when we're at Macquarie Island. Anyway, so me and this other fella, when we went back to Melbourne, then they sent us off to the postings that we normally had. My posting then was in Brisbane. The other fella, I'm not sure where he was. He wasn't in Brisbane, he was somewhere else. And but the other people, the ones who were single, they had them doing the mainland ones, or the 3 other bases that they have on the mainland in Antarctica. So I missed out on that because I was married. So that was an excuse. And then, so that was a really good experience.
Not many people can say they've been to Antarctica.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was probably one of the highlights of the thing. Well, actually, after all that bastardisation that we had, and they sorted out who was going to be in the group, then they sent us to Thursday Island to join one of the 3 lighthouse ships that used to travel around Australia fixing up the lighthouses and that. And I can't remember which one of them was, but we got put on that. And because on that they had these larks, which the army had, they were borrowed off the army, and then we were doing more of that stuff for a few weeks around Thursday Island and stuff like that, and some of the islands in the Torres Strait. They had a lot of different jobs going on there, and we were sort of helping with that, and that was because that was part of the training to go to Antarctica. I don't know how that was, but it might have been just a jolly, because we got through we got through the training part. Then they set us to that, and maybe just to fill a gap between the end of the training part and then going off, because you didn't travel to Macquarie Island or the mainland on those sort of ships until October or November, you know, and it was all over in February or even early March, you know. So yeah, those sort of trips only happened in that period, and that sort of fitted right in with what we were doing and all that sort of stuff. So I was out of my normal job in Brisbane, and then and then came, when I came back, I went straight back to Brisbane and.
It was probably to work on your tan at Thursday Island before.
That's it.
So it didn't look like death coming back from Antarctica. Yeah.
I tell you, they're talking about people getting a tan. When they had the infantry units, that most of the unit would go straight over to Vietnam from Brisbane or Sydney or whatever, and it was on the ex HMAs.
Melbourne?
Melbourne? No, not Melbourne. Sydney. It was older than the Melbourne one, but it was only being used to transport things anyway, and usually one complete infantry unit as well. And I was with 8 RAR when we went over there, and all the way over was, firing its things off the back deck and all this, bang, 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 all this, and training, running around the deck and all that sort of stuff. On the way back, it was like shirts off and and actually I'm pretty sure that they purposely made it a slightly longer trip to get back to Brisbane from
10.
So people are 10 and you come ashore in Brisbane and people think you've been on a bloody holiday. And that was and the other thing I've heard about some of the places, especially Melbourne and Sydney, where battalions of units, when they came ashore, and then they did the march through the town or whatever, and they got red paint thrown over them and all this sort of stuff. Well, that never happened in Brisbane,
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it happened to other units in Brisbane, but Queensland seemed to have the people in Queensland seem to have a lot different outlook on those sort of things. I suppose it had something to do with the fact that there were 3 infantry units in Brisbane or in Queensland at that time, and there were some big big bases there. Yeah. And a lot of the places like Nogra in Brisbane. It's it's full on army, and just about everything around it's the same, and most of the people who live around there, they either know someone in the army, got a relation in the army, or whatever, so just about anywhere you went in a lot of those areas around Brisbane, and even Townsville even more so. Yeah,
Townsville's a big one.
you didn't get red paint thrown at you or anything like that. Yeah. When I was based in with 6 RAR after I came back from Vietnam, a short stay in Townsville, then we were straight off to Singapore, and you go to a place where there's a dance or whatever going on, and some women were throwing themselves at people, because they wanted to get married, get married or whatever, and go over there for 2.5 years in Singapore, I don't know how many. I do know 1 or 2 people who were in that situation. They may probably not have been married now or whatever.
Just for holiday.
Well, I met my wife in Singapore. She was born on Christmas Island, and met her in Singapore 1971, and then 1974 got her to come to Australia. She came over. Did you hear that one about someone saying about when she came to Australia, on the ship? She was on the ship. She was working on a ship. No, she wasn't a cruise ship. She was about the writing stuff for the cook or the stuff.
She was working.
That's right. Yeah. And she came and she came and met some of my relations while she was here in Fremantle, and some people she knew from Christmas Island who were living in Perth then. She met them and all that. And I didn't even know we weren't husband and wife or anything like that, you know. We just had an on and off relationship for about 2.5 years. Then we got married, you know. So someone I was at Mum's at Michelle funeral. Remember Peter Douglas? My brother. He said, because he was he's a younger brother, but he did a lot of the talking at the funeral.
My mum passed away 7 months ago.
Anyway, so I never heard this story before, but he said that when he met my wife, my future wife, it was like she was checking people out, you know, who's this relation, who's that, you know.
Yeah.
So she knew, you know, she had a good understanding of who, you know, who was who, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I never.
Oh, because you probably weren't there.
No, I was in Singapore.
No, that's when Mum come back to Freo. You weren't here.
No, but she came here. While I was still in Singapore.
That's what I'm saying. So you weren't here.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't here to introduce her.
I didn't know what she was up to.
She's scoping it out.
She was actually engaged to a pommy fella from Melbourne who was an electrician on Christmas Island. Anyway, she had engagement ring and all that, and somehow, you know, after I'd known her for a while, she wasn't wearing it anymore, you know.
You cut his grass.
But we didn't really form a relationship until quite later, I think, because a lot of the people I was in 6 rail with, they were getting married. You know, so all the people that I used to knock around with in 6 rail was suddenly married and that in Singapore, and all came back to Australia to get married and then that sort of thing, and I wasn't, you know, and so I was like a spared. Anyway, so
you were the bachelor.
Yeah. So anyway, somehow or other, Rose and I
hooked up.
Hooked up. But I'd known her.
And here I am.
I'd known her for a few years by then, but wasn't like a solid relationship. You know, just sort of, you know.
Thank you so much for agreeing to jump on the podcast, and we will write something up and stick that in the listening post as well. This podcast was edited, published and produced by the RSLWA. Head to www.rslwa.org.au for other content. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook.